Yeah, I came up with the idea that I just really wanted to appreciate like all the people sticking with eHEX. And we talked about, for example, the late stake penalty, how it's not great in practice. So I thought, hey, wouldn't it be just very nice to like give everybody like the whole amount of their eHEX as a nice token on PulseChain and save those bleeding stakes. I mean, it's not really saving it because it's not like that it has the same value, right? This is a token on its own. But what I am doing is I calculate everybody's kind of stakes with interest. And I calculated up what do you have exactly today accrued with all the yield. And then I'm removing all the bleeding, summing them up, and then you can mint it on PulseChain. I mean, your hex stakes were saved before. You can see it that way, that you have p-hex. But I really appreciate that. Appreciate people who were holding to their stakes and are not giving up on them, are not emergency end staking. And even though the fees are high, they believe in hex. And even though there are so many people saying that eHEX is that they are still holding on to it. So I have a lot of respect for that. And that's why I'm making a coin, I guess, which
Bitcoin.
is always, it's always, I was thinking a lot about if I should do it or not. Because, yeah, when you do something like that, you make a token, like people start being skeptical. Oh no, is this guy trying to scam us? And, you know, for the right reasons, people got so many times, so often burned. Yeah. So this, I want to make it as open as possible. I mean, 100% open as 100% open, so that you can verify everything for yourself and to be secure, so that you don't fear that the smart contract is doing anything malicious. And so that's important for me, that I want to give a gift to people and want them to feel secure. And in crypto, that's obviously hard because there are many coins out there who have all sorts of problems. And the other thing that I wanted with this is to show something similar that I show with my data. So when I came out with my data, this is more than a year ago, 1.5 years, something like that, I wanted to show like how cool this is and how it is used, and give confidence to the people that, hey, this is a great thing. Like, look how much it is used and how people use it. And now I would like to bring confidence to eHEX, where I'm trying to give a token to what I believe are the best holders in crypto. And if you give them a token and they hold it, and the price goes up, they still hold it. So if my assumption is true, that I'm able to give the best crypto holders a token, liquid, and they are not selling it or not burning it, and they're just holding on to them, then it would give confidence that the people who are staked in eHEX and in pHEX can do the same thing. So yeah, staking is a great thing. Those holders are great. They can hold through a lot of price appreciation or even going the other way. of course, the experiment can go the other way and actually show us that eHEX stakers are really bad at holding and they need a staking mechanism to not sell.
Thanks for the liquidity, bro. Thanks for the liquidity. Yeah. No, well, 2 questions. Go ahead. I just have 2 questions after you're finished.
So that would be, yeah, this is also kind of the experiment to run. What would happen if everybody can have their HEX, liquid? Would they sell immediately or would they just hold? And another thought to the whole thing, I also want to make hexagons learn something by providing like 100% openness to it. Like I would like to create the front end where the source code is, seeable. You download it and you run it. You ask somebody who develops, who can verify that the front end code is also not doing anything malicious. We have downloadable front ends now, but they are still not. The source code is not viewable. So that there are some front ends which have that. I'm not saying that there aren't. But yeah, I would like hexagons to learn something and learn something about cryptography. And when PulseChain launched, for example, people learned how to validate, how to run a validator. I think that's very valuable. I mean, hexagons learn so much. And maybe through that, validators. They are great. I'm only operating a node because...
Do you like losing money?
No,
you should be a validator in the early stages.
The problem is that
one day
it's on the height level of my daughter, and she can press the button, and a validator where you can just press the button. It's not good. I would lose money.
I have a cloud guide for you. But then what about decentralization? Everyone don't do it in the cloud, or it will be more centralized. Yep. Thankfully, most people don't want to do that. So all the people who do want to run in the cloud are fine. I've had that argument 10,000 times, it seems like. But yeah, I just want to ask too. So the name of it's Liquid HEX. So can you stake Liquid HEX later on? Is there any plans for a staking ability to stake Liquid HEX?
Nope. That's why it's called Liquid.
Okay. So Liquid HEX. V2 is not going to be LS HEX. Liquid.
I would like to experiment maybe in the future with something, but that's the future. Until something is not deployed on the blockchain, it's just speculation if it ever happens or not. Okay. But for now, Liquid HEX, not stakeable. And that's the experiment. If everybody's liquid, what will happen?
Okay. And the other part, I think, is what probably everyone's, or at least I'm missing at this point. So can you take us through the process of so is it like a swap? You actually well, I guess it can't be, because then you'd need, you may support HSIs. I saw the conversation with Alex too, but it doesn't sound like a swap like you do for the Maximus stuff. You swap and get the derivative, and it's has that. And it sounds more like the Hedron approach, with you mint it from showing ownership of such things, and you get a token from that. So if so, do you get to keep the stake? You get to keep the stake, regardless whatever you do with it, and you get the token?
Yes, you keep all your stakes, so you can mint the token for free when it launches, and you can keep all the stakes. So you don't have to interact with the HEX smart contract, and you don't have to use any funds. You just get the same amount with some of the bonuses described in my post. And what I have also, I had a discussion in my Telegram group chat, which is t.me liquid HEX. And there we discussed how it would be better to actually mint the token itself, so that you don't have to interact with the same address where your stakes are, because a lot of people are very hesitant to do anything with their main account where they have their funds. So, and through the discussion, one of these great hexicans actually suggested really the best way to do it, which is like the securest, coolest way and the most cypherpunk way anyway, which HEX did at its launch with signatures. So what you can do is that you will be able to sign with your main account where your stakes are, sign a message. And that message will be only another public address, which you choose, a burner address. So you choose a burner address and you sign a message, and the message's content is only the burner address. So all of a sudden, there's proof that your address, which is eligible to mint the tokens, that address has it verifies that that other address is allowed to mint the tokens, for himself. So you can just pick any random address and mint your tokens there with this verified message, and you are not interacting on the blockchain with a smart contract. It's the best
Yeah, I remember
way
that
to do
from HEX too. That's for the free claim, the Bitcoin free claim, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Quick question on. So I'm just reading this here. So is it only for wallets that have never in the history did an emergency in stake of them having HEX in the wallet, or is it just for any eHEX stake that hasn't been that exists, which obviously hasn't been emergency in stake?
So no, if you have emergency end staked, it can be out of who knows what reason. Then you still get everything. You just don't get bonuses. That's it.
Okay, because when I'm reading this, it says this is a gift for the strongest HEX believers never performed one, who appreciate staking ladders or committed to maximum stake length of. So you get a bonus if you have never did it and have 5 and have staking ladders.
Yeah, there are different bonuses. So, and I thought it should be hierarchical. Jesus, but you get the point. Yes. So the hierarchy is the following. If you had never EES'd, you get a 10% bonus. And you are eligible to get the next bonus, which is if you have a staking ladder, which I have to define a little bit closer. Maybe if you have 3 stakes in different years, maybe that's a staking ladder. Then you get a 36.9% bonus on top of the 10%. But the requirement is that you did not emergency at stake. Here comes the hierarchy. And then there's a third bonus. So you have never EES, you have a staking ladder, and you are even committed 5. Like you have a 15-year length of a stake. Maybe I make a range of 5,550 and 5,555 because some people suggested that, hey, they just picked exactly another day and they just wanted to end stake on a Sunday or something like that. So I don't want to punish those people, right? So maybe I make a range, but then you get a bonus of 55.55% on top. But the requirement is again that you have a staking ladder and that you have never EES'd. And considering all of that, if you did all of these things, it's like a second big payday because you're kind of doubling your stack.
2 big paydays. That's more than one. That sounds cool.
One you already got.
Wow. Yeah. Well, not everyone, but yeah. A lot of people were around and staked during that time and all that stuff. Wow. That's cool. Yeah. When I first read the sentence, I was like, is this only for people who never did emergency in stakes? I'm like, I'm looking around for a minute. I'm like, okay, how many wallets do I have to have HEX stakes there's got to be, I'm not saying I've emergency in stake before, but it did give me a little bit of pause. I was like, let me double
Did
check on
I?
that. But no, but it's for everyone that has eHEX stakes, and you get bonuses based on how hardcore you are, essentially.
Yeah. So I want to,
And
with these bonuses, I want to reward just great behavior. But if you still have stakes, you should get them.
sorry, Duke said it sounds like chastity coin. I
What's
don't
a
even know if that's a
chest?
reference to something. Chastity is like how
I don't know.
how moral you are, basically, like how like good you are, like that sort of thing. Anyways, I'm not sure that's actually a coin out there that rewards people for delaying gratification or whatever, but that's a funny reference in general. RHM on this already. And just sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to make sure this is basically, people can think of this as like minting your hedron from your stakes. Kind of like the process is kind of like that, but you're doing like the signature stuff with it.
Yeah, you have to, with Hedron, you have to do it with the same address. So you have to mint your Hedron with the same address. So, but what Hedron did is to audit the code to give, reliability that nothing bad is going to happen. Whereas I am not making an audit. I want everybody to verify it and look at the code and learn something of it. The Solidity code itself will be very, very simple. It will be so simple that I gave it to AI, and AI explained it very great in detail. So that's the thing. And there are some community audits that I was submitted. And currently that's a thing that I have to say about audits. And especially with the signature, if you have a burner address and you just do that, you can be sure that, hey, you claimed the thing and you didn't go into any risk. And then in time, you can wait for what people say about the code. Because everybody wants to be secure, and you want to be secure. You don't want to have contract risk. You don't want to have anything malicious happening in a contract. You want the front end to be nice to you. You don't want to connect to a malicious front end. But for a very simplistic smart contract, using your resources for that, where me, who creates the coin, I'm trying to do it for free. I think that's the best way I can do it. But I like that Hexicans come back and they're like, you should have an audit. I like that mentality.
Yeah, I mean the rallying call is like, no admin keys, audit, all this stuff too. Everything's on a spectrum. Then there's not just this.
We should always demand it.
Yeah, I mean that's the good. Yeah. Anyways, Atlantean, if you have what if you have ladders on different wallets? Is this like per wallet you can claim this thing, so you could have whatever, you could just do it through that?
Yeah, if you have multiple wallets, you have to claim it multiple times.
Cryptoland, do you really have to ask? Here's how I read it. Do you really have to ask what will happen if everyone is liquid? I think it's an interesting idea. I think you're giving it, you're not giving it to everyone. You're only giving it to only people who can mint it now. What happens after there's a market for it, people can accumulate it and do whatever after that. But the initial supply is given to people who have showed diamond hands, and some harder diamonds than others. I think it's interesting to see.
And then I also included a penalty, a dump. I call it the dump penalty, because I have this extensive HEX data. I have all the USDC HEX pools data, so I can really easily sum up and see how many people sold what amount in aggregated form and which address did it. So the dump penalty is not set yet. I will play around with that. And currently I'm loading the HEX ETH pools on Ethereum to have like all the pools. And then I can see who was dumping really a lot of HEX. And I'm not sure where I'm drawing the line. Maybe you have a suggestion, but those get 100% penalty.
So just to be clear, this is for people claiming it. The dump penalty is for people who have dumped HEX and not dumped liquid HEX.
Exactly.
Yeah, because when I first heard it, I was thinking, okay, there's a dump penalty. You're going to look afterwards and then take back.
No.
Yeah, I want to just clarify for everyone listening. This is for dumpers of HEX. Yeah.
Dumpers of HEX, they won't be able to mint liquid HEX.
Well, it's obviously the percentage has to be in a range, based on how much they dump, from anywhere from 69% to 369%, somewhere in that range.
659%?
I was like, how? Yeah, I was 69% to 369%. Yeah, you were talking about like any suggestions for the penalties. I mean, I think we had the silly whale penalty, right? You can split it in different wallets and bypass it. That was to, I guess, to keep exchanges out of HEX. Well, maybe one way for that, but wow, interesting.
Yeah, but maybe definitely people who dumped $1 million worth of HEX, for sure, they will be out. And if I find some whales who emergency end staked and then send it to another address and dumped it there, if I find those, they're included, sorry. But then they already cashed out.
Data-driven tokenomics. I expect nothing less from Bencier on that. Data-driven tokenomics.
Yeah, I mean, the token, the uniqueness of the token is not coming from the Solidity code. It's not like it has any complex algorithm. It's an ERC20. You can send it to left and right and receive it, and that's it. So it's not really revolutionary in that regard.
We can mint it, right? You can. So there's basically three functions. Well, I guess just the minting part is the part to get correct. Everything else is just send and receive.
Yeah, that's basically more than 90% of the code is audited because it just takes the Open Zeppelin. I'm not sure if you know Open Zeppelin, but they have ready-made implementations for ERC20 tokens and hashing algorithms and things like that. So more than 90% of that, and those are audited. So those are great. And and then you can mint it. But the real magic is actually what I've been building since 2021, which is all my data. And I'm sitting all of that data. And, when you go walk and you think about what you can do with all of that data, and hey, you could reward all these eHEX hardcore people who are bleeding, they are through everything. They are.
You're part of the problem. Let it die. Sorry, I had to interject. Yeah, that's the counterculture of the HEX side. No, I love it. I love to see Hexkins rewarding diamond hand Hexkins.
Some people could see it as a second chance to transfer some value of their eHEX to PulseChain. And in the end, I am building it on PulseChain and not redeploying it on Ethereum. I was thinking about it, but I thought PulseChain is I have such a blast using PulseChain. So great, smooth, ease of use. Don't have to worry about fees. I love it. And was never down. So I would deploy it there.